Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new little tier 6 light tank that's American, the M24E2 Super Chaffee. Now before we go into the stats, my opinion of this tank is it's a pretty darn good little light tank. But there's a big but in this, and that is that it's very similar to the other tier 6 American light tank, the Rover 237. This is basically just a worse version of the Rover. Doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's worse than the Rover. And the Rover's very good, very good tier 6 light tank. This is an outright better tank than this. So if you have the Rover, you don't need to get the Super Chaffee. And if you're thinking of getting a tier 6 light tank, get the Rover. Now, the M24E4 Super Chaffee is a slightly cheaper version, so if you're strapped for gold and you think, you know, I don't want to pay the extra 1,000 gold, you could get the Super Chaffee, true. But as a tank, this is better, and this is probably the one you want over the Super Chaffee, so that's the first bit. So this is a tank that PC released a couple of months ago. This is actually the PC tank, whereas this is a console exclusive, right? This is basically the old T37 just as a premium tank, because it was made just before the light tank changes, whereas this is a actual PC premium, and it's been buffed compared to PC. There's been a few changes that they did that is definitely different to PC, and it makes it so it's more on a par from the Rover than it would have been. If it come out with the actual PC stats, this tank would have been flat out just not that good, and it would not have been worth picking up. But the buffs they gave it make it actually decent and competitive compared to the Rover. It's just the Rover has some things that make it slightly better generally. So let's go into the stats. 120 pen on the AP, 155 on the APCR. Now for a tier 6 light, this is not too bad, but the 120 pen and 155 does struggle. It struggles against some tier 6s at 120. A lot of there's quite a few tier 7s you'll struggle against with 120 pen, trust me, it's a pain in the bum. 155 pen won't struggle that much with the tier 6s. It will struggle a little bit with tier 7s, tier 8s, it's even against tier 8s, it's painful. And it can be very annoying. You still, even with firing the premium, you have to go around people's sides and rears to actually be able to pen them at tier 8. It's slightly frustrating. This is something that is worse than the, only ever so slightly though, bear in mind, but this is worse than the Rover, because the Rover has 130 on its AP and 160 on its premium. So that is something that's worse in itself, so it actually pens a little bit more with its standard rounds, and with its premium it pens a little bit better as well. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that this tank's better, just one of them. 115 alpha damage, which is the same as the Rover, because it's near enough the same gun. 115 is very low, generally. There's a lot of tanks that pack 150 at this tier. 115 is low, and the amount of times you do roll below 100 a lot, and it's a little bit annoying at times because it feels like you're firing a pea shooter. But it's a light tank. It is one of those things. 660 hit points is not bad. It's actually pretty good for a tier 6 light, I believe. There's a lot of tanks at tier 6 that have only 600 hit points, a la the Rover here with 600 hit points, so 660 hit points for the M24 Chaffee is not that bad, but at the end of the day it's a light tank, so you want to try to avoid getting hit because obviously your hit points are low and it doesn't take much to take you out, and there's also quite a lot that will one-shot you, so just bear that in mind. Looks at Russian tanks and Dreadnought. 67 kilometers an hour top speed. Now this is something that they buffed from the PC version, because I believe the PC version gets about 58 kilometers an hour top speed. So you imagine that compared to the 70 kilometers an hour top speed that this tank has. Yeah, it would have been terrible. But 67 kilometers an hour is pretty damn nice. It's usable, and with the engine power buff it got as well, means that it actually hits that. So that's pretty damn nice on the tank. It is still quite sluggish off the mark though, I will give you that. But it's, you know, it hits that top speed and it is nice. But like I say, the Rover does have 70 kilometers an hour, and again it's fairly sluggish off the mark, but it does hit that a lot quicker than the Super Chaffee, in my personal opinion. Just my opinion on that one. You might not think that. 380 meters view range is actually pretty good for a tier 6 light, actually. because there's a lot of tier 6 lights that only pack 360, 370, and it's one that is actually pretty decent 380. The Rover is better with 390 though, and 390 means a whole world of difference, right? That's 10 meters extra. It just means that you can spot a lot better, and you can compete with tier 8 lights on the Rover compared to the Super Chaffee, which might lose a lot of spotting battles with some of the tier 8 lights. Because trust me, the matchmaking rotation that I had was dreadful. I played like 15, 20 games in it, and I was bottom tier 14 or 15 of those games. It was pretty horrendous. And yeah, you're having to compete with tier 8 lights. But 380 is not that bad. It's better than some of the others with 360, so take it. 25% concealment. Same as the Rover. And actually, that makes it slightly better in comparison to the Rover in terms of its concealment, because that's 25% concealment is with the permanent camo that the Rover gets, whereas this is 25% still concealment without permanent camo. You put permanent camo on it, that goes up to 0.28. I'm not sure, we'll see when we get into the garage what you can get the still concealment down to in the actual terms of meters, but yeah, that's actually got slightly better camo than the Rover, which is a nice thing, because, you know, staying unspotted in light tanks is the best thing you can possibly have, really. So, let's get on to this gun stats. 15.38 rounds a minute, which is worse than the Rover, which is a 3.9 second reload. Now, it is only 0.3 worse, but it does mean that it does feel a little bit slower, and you do feel it, which is why I still feel that this is a better tank. It's got 1.9 aim time on the Rover, which is actually 1.7 seconds on the Super Chaffee, which is definitely a lot better, and you do feel how nice the aim time is. But with the fact that both aim times are really good, it's not that much of a noticeable difference, quite honestly. But as a tank for the Super Chaffee, if you're discounting the Rover, 1.7 aim time is very, very nice. Now, it gets 10 rounds more than the Rover, which is okay. 0.38 accuracy, this is a big difference. 0.38 accuracy on the Super Chaffee. Still not great, right? That's actually pretty decent for a light tank, actually, thinking about it. Because a lot of the light tanks have pretty bad accuracy. 0.38 is still not great. But it's better than the Rover with 0.42. The Rover has 0.42 accuracy, which is just atrocious. It is dreadful. And, yeah. Basically, this is not that bad compared to the Rover. 10 degrees of gun depression, same as the Rover. 10 degrees of gun depression for a light tank, delightful. You can use ridge lines perfectly fine. It's great. 46 degrees a second traverse speed, which is the same as the Rover. View range we've gone over. You see here, actually, the horsepower per ton ratio on the Super Chaffee is better at 28.75 with 550 horsepower. With the 67 km/h top speed, it still does feel sluggish, right? It's very sluggish off the mark. You will feel it just a little bit slow, and you do feel it can be a bit annoying. So if you get spotted and you're in a bush, don't expect it to shoot off that quickly unless you're going downhill. 23 km/h top reverse speed, I should say. Reverse speed it's pretty dank. That's pretty damn good, if I'm honest. It's really, really good, actually, to be fair. It means you can get back out of situations pretty quickly, which is good. 50 degrees a second traverse speed on the tracks. Now, that is very nice. That means you spin on a sixpence very, very easily. Rover does go quicker, though, on that one. And the terrain resistances on the tracks is 0.08, 0.99, and 0.15, which is actually worse than the Rover, which means there's a lot of terrains that you will just perform slightly worse. Add that you get a slightly worse traverse speed on the tracks as well. You do feel, like I say, you do feel the fact that this tank is still a little bit more sluggish than the Rover. But on the whole, I mean, this tank isn't a bad tank. Don't discount it. It is a pretty nice little light tank at tier 6. But is it worth picking up if the Rover exists? And the flat answer is, to be honest, quite no. But if you don't like the fact that this gun is quite derpy, then the Super Chaffee might be the one for you. I don't know. But I like it. But I can't get over the fact that the Rover is still a thing, and the Rover is a very damn good light tank. And if you already own it, then there's just no point in this tank. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to send you all over to the garage. We're going to check over the commander skills and the setup of the equipment. I'll see you there. So here we are in the garage with the Super Chaffee, and this is the skin that you get with the tank. Is it worth 3k gold? No, don't spend 3k gold on this. Like I say, wait for the loaded or the base bundle so you don't have to buy this skin with the tank. I suppose if you're American, you might like it because it's star spangled and America, you know, that sort of thing. By the way, happy 4th of July to you Americans that are out there. And yeah, it's not the greatest of skins in the universe. As a tank, though, looks great. It's a great little light tank. It's basically the T-37, near enough. But yeah, so let's go through the equipment loadout. So I actually dropped the rammer. I don't run a gun rammer on this tank. Why? Because it fires quick enough. It's a 3.58 second reload with my crew setup as well. Without the rammer, with the rammer, it's 3.18 seconds. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to drop the rammer in lieu of the ability to stay concealed a little bit better with the camo net and to have better gun handling. Because optics is obviously something you can never not take in a light tank because you want to buff your view range as high as possible. So it was always between these two whether you kept a rammer. So I kept the camo net instead of the rammer because the reload is already quick enough. It doesn't buff it below 3 seconds if I had a rammer. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to make it as stealthy as I possibly can because the longer you stay unspotted in a light tank, the better. And because it's tier 6 and the amount of times I've seen tier 8, I just wanted to stay unspotted a little bit longer so I could maximise possibly the spotting that I could get in more aggressive spotting bush locations. And obviously the vert stabs really help the gun handling, which at the minute is 0.31, which isn't the most accurate in the world in this 6.0 world we live in, because a lot of guns have below 0.3 and they're like looking at 2.5, 2.6 or less than that. So the stabs is something you really want because the gun is still wonky. It still fires and misses quite a few shells and it can be a little bit frustrating. So you just need the stabs to help the gun handling as much as possible. Like I say, optics is a definite must for every light tank that you ever want to have. Few exceptions, but it's definitely one that you need on a lot of the lower tier lights especially. So you can never not have the optics in my opinion. Just my personal opinion anyway. Ammo loadout, I carry 35 and 35. I carry half and half, and you might be going, well, that's not going to make you much money. Well, no, this light tank will not make you much money. And honestly, it's because of the low pen. 120 pen, it was struggle so much against a lot of the tier 8s, quite a few of the tier 7s, and a fair few of the tier 6s. So you will need quite a lot of the 155 pen APCR. And obviously, because of how quick the tank fires, if you don't carry enough premium rounds, you will run out. So half and half is why I carry that. That's my reasoning behind it anyway. So for the commander setup, this is my typical light tank setup for a light tank that I want to keep a bit more stealthy, but at the same time try and keep the gun handling going. So I run Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Trap Mechanic, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, and then Steady Aim. They're the 6 that I say are sort of obligatory perks that you're going to take on every single tank near enough anyway. Right, they're the perks that you're never not going to take. So my 3 optional perks, the ones that I take, are Camouflage Expertise, Run and Gun, and Muffled Shot. Camouflage Expertise and Muffled Shot because I want to help the stealthiness of the tank. So the Camouflage Expertise will buff my camo rating by an extra 10%. Then the Muffled Shot will decrease the effect of my gun while firing when I'm using the vehicle through the camo factor. So basically when I fire, my camo isn't going to be reduced as nearly as much as it would be without the perk. And it's a very helpful perk to have. And so I make it so that I'm pretty damn stealthy, but when I'm firing it's not damaging my camo rating as much. That's why I run the Muffled Shot and the Camouflage Expertise over, say, running Green Thumb, which increases my vehicle's camo even more when I'm in bushes, for example. And Steady Aim and Run and Gun, well, this is a light tank, obviously, and if there's certain situations where you are going to have to keep moving, keep yourself going, and being able to just be 10% more accurate while you're on the move, and you can keep running and gunning, basically, like the perk says. That's why I prefer that over snapshot. And the steady aim, obviously, is one that you're always going to take, because it just buffs your accuracy no matter what by 10%. So, yeah, that's why I run that setup that I do. In terms of the shell velocity, because that's something we haven't covered, it's got 792 max speed, sorry. Just read the wrong bit. 792 speed on its AP, 990 on its APCR. The AP is incredibly slow. It's a very, very slow round, and you've got to really lead your targets. Be careful when you're leading your targets far at distance. Bear in mind that you will have to lead your targets well. APCR 990, nearly 1,000 meters a second, nearly. It's not bad, but it's not good for the tier. Well, it's not bad for the tier, but it's not good. Is probably the better way of putting it. But it's a lot more noticeable than when you're firing the AP. So, you know, that is the way it is. And, yeah, 3.51 second reload on the reload there you can see in this section here. But, yeah, on the whole, I think the Super Chaffee is a pretty damn decent tank. It's just a shame that the Rover exists. That's pretty much the sad story of the Super Chaffee. So, as always, everybody, I'm going to send you over to the replays, where you will probably either watch it play and go, what is this going about? Looks terrible. I'm not buying that. Or, oh, actually, that does look really good. I want to buy this tank. Despite the Rover. So, I'll send you over to the replays, and I'll see you there. So here we are in the replays with the Super Chaffee. And this first game is more of the average game in the tank, I'd say. Especially when you're bottom tier, probably. And we're on a big open map, which is perfect for it. We're on El Alamein, which has just recently returned. So we're playing a new tank on a return map, which is nice. And yeah, honestly, the Super Chaffee is actually a pretty decent light tank. It can put up with itself if you can drive properly. Yeah, there was a rock there. Good driving, Dumbo. Anyway, yeah, like I said, the Super Chaffee is a pretty decent light tank, right? It does just have the problem that the Rover is just as good, if not better, and it's existed for a long time, so most people will probably have it. But it can stand up for itself in its own right. And yeah, it's pretty decent. I've had some very nice results in it. And like I say though, a lot of them were bottom tier. So we're on El Alamein, and I'd say took up a position that I remember being pretty damn decent back in the day when we used to play this map a lot. And that is when it's team destruction. That's the word I'm looking for. When it's team destruction and we spawn where we do, they can push along this northern flank. This little ridge line here that I'm on, with the two different sections of elevation, is a really nice position here, F4, because I can get views across this section here that I'm looking right now, which would get a nice shot into the top of the King Tiger. And I can also get shots across the 1 line and the 2 line. I can spot out along there as well. Now, here is where the penetration is going to fail me. We're facing a tier 7 heavy tank here. We're trying to pen it with the APCR, and we are just failing. We're hitting the side, we're hitting the front, hitting the side of the turret. We're just not penning. It's just not happening. The APCR over this distance, with the penetration loss over distance, just doesn't help us there. We're now getting some shots at the Vanguard, which I want to get rid of this pest. He YOLO'd me earlier on. Luckily, only penned one of his shells. And I just really want to get rid of him because they're annoying, honestly, Vanguards. And I just want to get rid of them. Unfortunately, we only pen one shot, though, because, you know, hitting them is a pain in the bum. And now we're going to try and see if we can get a shot at this atomic. But I don't want to risk it, really. So I decide I'm not risking it. I'm not going for the atomic. And we're going to reload AP because we don't need APCR for the Vanguard. And we're going to try and hopefully get a shot to take him out. Unfortunately, it misses. We boost our accuracy with food. Straight in. Get out of here, pest. Out you go. Another tier 8 down in the next shot. Tiger Shark gone. He made the mistake of trying to attack 4 people at once there. We're going to hopefully try and finish off this IS. Tracks only on his side. The last shell goes straight into his bum, finishes him off, which is great. Now there's this King Tiger below us. He's getting yellowed by a light tank. I've got the other Tiger 2 with me, so I'm thinking, should I go in and I decided too late. I hesitated, and that cost me the damage because I tried to auto-aim the shot over the ridge, hit the ridge. That was my bad. I should have just gone when I realised that my team would come around on him, but unfortunately I hesitated and we lost the damage there. We're now just going to YOLO after this atomic. We've got the hit points to take a shot from him. I was kind of hoping to take him out in 2 shots, but we don't quite do it. We finish him off in 3 shots, and he's gone. We get a nice shot on the move into the Lycan. We move into the buildings because it looks like he was trying to get me. And there we could avoid his fire. Luckily enough, he gets blown up. And now we are going to go for the last 2 tanks. And I'm imagining they're still in the spawn maybe somewhere around here. So that's why we're charging over this way. Hopefully we'll be able to find them and get some nice shots at them. It's really nice to have El Alamein back, because I actually kind of like this. I like this map a lot, and it's nice to have it back. And here is the 2 tanks remaining. There's a Baltic and an AFK Tiger 2. Now I could try and just farm the Tiger 2 with my friends, but instead I go for the tank that is actually alive and kicking, because, well, he could harm my friends, and he could at any time just decide to turn around and blap me and finish me off in 1 shot. So I don't want that, so we're just going to farm every shot we possibly can into the Baltic, and we actually finish him off. And we finish the game with 1800 damage and 1000 assisted. A nice game for the Chaffee while bottom tier. Like I said, it's probably the more average game, which isn't like crazy damage, crazy assist. And it kind of shows off that it can stand up for itself. We got an All-X medal for killing 3 tanks that are 2 tiers higher. 1861 base XP, 5 kills, like I say. 2.8k combined. It can stand up for itself when it's bottom tier, and it can stand up for itself generally, and it's a pretty nice tank, but just, I don't know, on the whole, the Rover's better, and it's something, it's just a hurdle that I'm not going to get over with this tank, and the fact that the Rover still exists, and the Rover is better than this tank, and it's near enough the same tank, nearly. So we're on Mountain Pass. And there is not really many opportunities to spot on this map, like, mostly at all. This is the only chance you get. With bottom tier, again, like I say, bottom tier so much, it's unbelievable. The matchmaker, it just decided, it was one of those days, you know what I mean, where the matchmaker just goes, yeah, we're just going to put you bottom tier. So, I've exhausted that position I was using there. I've decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get a position to farm the 1375 from this position here, get shots down, and hopefully get some lots of juicy free damage, right? So I'm going to reverse up over this ridge here to try and see if we can get a shot at him. But the Bulldog actually comes down. It's like, well, okay then, Mr. Bulldog, I'll just get some nice damage and shots into you. I pull back behind the ridge because he looks at me, and the Bulldog will probably just snap a shot at me while he's on the move, and we don't want that. He climbs a wall. Fortunately enough, misses me. I get another shot into him, but pull back again before he decides to fire. It's too early in the game. I want to save my hit points as a light tank. I don't want to lose them all instantaneously. And now we've got some shots at this T20. Now, obviously, the T20 has a 240 Alpha gun. I wanted to get rid of him. Couldn't quite find the shot there. The accuracy letting us down. But, fortunately enough, he got shut down by the artillery. Now we've actually got some shots at this T29 across the way. And this is a nice little farm that we've got. We've got a great little position here to get shots at him. We're unspotted, which means we're just allowed to do this to this guy. Unfortunately, we're Ricochet there. We switched to APCR because he sort of slightly angled towards us, which made me think I was not going to get any more shots. And now this Vengeance is on his way in. We get a nice shot into the back of him while auto-aimed here. Set him on fire, which is great. And this is where the run and gun, I mean, we are pretty close, right? But this is where the run and gun perk is a lot nicer to have than snapshot for when you're driving around, because the accuracy is just that little bit better while you're moving. Managed to shut down the Vengeance while on the move. And now there's this Hellcat. And this Hellcat is actually stock. He's firing the 75mm gun, because you could tell because his rate of fire was great. We're missing some shells here, some badly aimed shots, and then also some bad RNG. We're just trying to pen him. We get one in. Luckily enough, he's not focused on us at all. He's shooting at the heavy tank behind me, and we can't quite get a shot at him there. Now, the Leo's actually going round on him. I think, nah, you know what, actually, I'm not going to go for this Hellcat, because the Leo's probably going to shoot him. But actually, the Hellcat drove round over the top of there, behind him, gave me a free shot, take it every day, shut him down. Now we've got the back end of this T29 that's attacking my heavy tank. I want to help my heavy tank as much as possible, so we're just going to keep slamming the shots in. We don't need the APCR yet because we are, well, we've got the rear of this guy, right? The not the stockade, the Scourge, that's the one I'm looking for, the Kiravet's one, pulls in front of us, finishes him off, and now we're going to go attack behind the guys on the ice road, because I could attack the heavy tank that's coming off of the bridge, but I just decided, you know what, I need to look what's going on the ice road. I've got TD and a heavy tank, the two guys, there's a medium tank also going to help them. There's 5 tanks there, they're not going to be expecting me. I want to get up behind them and start causing a distraction. They start turning around, they give free shots to my guys. As well as that, they're not going to be expecting me to drive up behind them, so it's free shots for me. So we come round the corner, finish off the T150. I could shoot the SU-130PM, but I actually don't want to wake the SU-130PM up. That's my thinking, right? I don't want that to shoot that guy, and he goes, oh, a tank, and turns around and blaps me. So I shut down the other guys that are easier to kill first, because as soon as I shoot this guy, he's probably going to be like, oh, there's something shooting me, I'll turn around. Exactly like he's done here. We chance getting a shot into him there. We're just going to chance getting another one in. I didn't want to I didn't want to take the hit there, so we ended up snapping the shot into the ridge. And now I'm going to run away as if I'm running, so that the SU-130PM maybe turns around and goes back to fighting on the ice road. Now the T-29 is running away from the other heavy tank. He was the one that was coming off the bridge. Unfortunately, we end up ricocheting 2 off his side and rear there, which is just a bad pen, really. We load the AP because we know the SU-130PM is lightly armoured. We get a nice shot on the move there, run and gun again. He tried to snap a shot at me, so we're going to try and pop round to get a shot at him. He pulls back, so I decide, you know what? He's got 520 alpha. He's got 520 alpha, I've got 660 health. He's not going to kill me. YOLO. You only live once, carpe diem, we're seizing the day. Fortunately enough for me, he rushes his shot into the side, and we get to finish him off with a cheeky little ram. We fed him like a free 80 damage there. Lucky him. He gets shut down, and now it's just the IS-6 that's facing the guys on the ice road. This guy should be a free farm because he should be distracted. He's on 122 hit points. There's a chance we could kill him with one shot. Well, okay, not with 6.0 damage rolls. But we're finishing off with that shot there, and there's only one tank left, and it's an atomic. And the atomic actually gets spotted on the bridge there. Luckily, he misses us, so we're just going to speedy boy it now to try and get under his gun depression. Fortunately enough, with the little ducking and dodging and dipping and diving and dodging, we actually get under his gun and he misses us again, which is nice. Now we're just going to crash into a rock because driving. And we got some nice shots into this guy. Unfortunately, we hit the bridge because of the accuracy on this gun sometimes. Get a nice shot through the side of his turret. Misses again. Accuracy on this gun sometimes. Another nice shot through the back of his turret. Now he's YOLOing across the bridge, so the likelihood is I'm going to have to go this way to get a shot, but there is a TD up here already. And the TD is probably, and he does shut him down. So unfortunately we don't get the kill on the atomic, but we do finish with a very good total of damage for this tank. And it shows how good the reload is on the tank, really, how much we just keep taking people apart. 6 kills, ace tanker, top gun, all XP off, killing 3 tanks 2 tiers higher, 2.6k base XP, 565 assistance. Like I say, it's not the best map for spotting. And yeah, it was a really nice game for the tank. It sort of worked perfectly. We managed to get a lot of damage off on tanks that were... It was basically the perfect game for it, really. I mean, the map wasn't a good map for it, but we managed to keep flanking, we managed to keep using the gun, and luckily for us, at some points like the Vengeance coming round, just not paying attention to us, just shooting the heavy instead, we managed to take advantage of that and blitz them with the reload. And we ended up with nearly 4k damage for a tank that does 115 damage on average. It's pretty nice. Obviously, the fire on the Vengeance also helps. So we're on to the third and final game. And this third and final game is on a map that I love. I love it. I love it, the fact that it's back. I missed it so much. I love it. Westfield is here. Westfield North spawn as well. Westfield North spawn for a light tank. Beautiful. If you've not played Westfield before, because there's actually quite a few people that don't seem to have played Westfield before. It disappeared about April last year. It's a great map for spotting. If you use the bushes where I am right now, you can spot everybody that crosses up the K line, as long as they're not incredibly stealthy tanks. And I chance it now to move up to a bush that's a better spotter and is higher up. But unfortunately, the T-34-85, if he wasn't there, I would have actually then got into that bush unspotted. But unfortunately, it was there, so yeah. But look, we're a minute and 20 in. We've got 1,000 assistants. Just like that. And now we're going to go back into the bush. Because from this bush, we can spot these guys. The T-34-3 gets blapped again by RT, 1,600 assistants. This position is really damn good for a light tank. If you're in a platoon with 2 other people and their TDs, they can sit behind you and stay unspotted while murdering whatever you spot. And trust me when I say, that is a good way of getting a lot of assisted damage, right? And that is what is a really good thing about Westfield when you are in a light tank and you're in a platoon. They can sit a bit further back, can shoot everything you spot. It just racks up assistance. I've had, madam, I've had, I think I had 9k assistance a couple of times at least on this map, just from using these positions. They're really damn good. You can use these bushes to great effect to spot tanks. That Borsig there is one of those tanks that I was just about on about, where I'm saying that if they've got really good camo, they can avoid your spotting. But if you're on a lot of other light tanks that have got like 400 meters view range, they're not really going to get away from it. Generally, if you're their spawn and you're going up the K line, be as speedy as you can and as quick as possible to get into K0, basically. Now, we end up getting spotted there by the light tank that's YOLOing around there. He just misses us. It's an M41 90mm. We aim a shot in, get a shot nicely on the move into him. He gets shut down by our friends on the 0 line. And now we're going to just keep moving up. Again, we're just going to keep moving round and round and round on this spot. Because realistically, I want to keep using these positions. Because these positions are spotting the guys on the K line. And it's feeding me great assistance. I mean, look at this. This is a good assistance game for any light tank. But with Tier 6-1, great. 3k spotting so far. And we're going to go back for more. Now, the Borsig gets spotted up. We get a nice shot into his turret there. We're going to hopefully get another shot in. We do. Can we finish him off? No, the T-34-3 gets lit up. Blaps us. We load the APCR because we need it to kill him. We shut him down. There's now a Vanguard there. We shut him down. And can we get the kill on the Borsig? We've got a slight bit of his turret. He's not looking at us. We shut him down as well. That's, again, 3 kills on 3 tanks, 2 tiers higher. That's another Orlix medal in the bag. And we're going for more in this game. We're up to 1,000 damage, 2.8k assistance. We're going to now YOLO over here to see if there's anything else camping on this side. There's actually a Scorpion G, so we move up so that there's a bush and a tree between us and the Scorpion. Therefore, our camo is a lot better while firing through the bushes, as well as having the muffled shot that helps us stay unspotted here. Then we shut down the Scorpion G. Now the Scorpion's gone, I am going to pop up on this ridgeline over here to see if there's anything camping along this G line, because that used to happen a lot, where tanks would set up in the nooks and crannies of this G line in front of me, and you could only really spot them if you were here or if you were marauding across the open bit coming down the K line, and that was a bit of a pain. And it was a good spot because there's a lot of spots where they could hide and get cover and clear and get good shots at people trying to push their base. So now we're going to try and catch the enemy team as they go across the open here, running down the A line. We get a nice shot into the side of the I3, get 2 pens into him. At this point, I'm not expecting to pen the I3, to be honest, and 2 pens was quite nice on his side. He's now beyond our ability to pen, and I want to try and spot anything else that was spotted over here. So we end up spotting a Challenger, and I'm just going to try and move so that I'm ready to dip below the ridgeline. I ended up misjudging where I was there, so I was making sure I wasn't just going to drive off a cliff. We're keeping him lit, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to start farming him. Get a nice shot into him there, get another shot in, and I'm just keeping the distance between us, because obviously he started moving towards us. Now I've got this tree bush in between us, so he can't really spot us that well. But we actually get spotted by the Type 59-2 when we fire, who was coming over the ridgeline. Unfortunately, we ricochet off his lower plate, or his upper plate, I don't know, it was slightly angled. Even with 155 pen of APCR, we will struggle with the front of a Type 59-2. We actually ricochet off his lower plate there. We need his side. He is YOLOing though, so it's like, okay, no, I've got to get away, because he's got 400 alpha, he's going to finish us off, and I don't want that. We're on for a good game right now. Get a nice shot on the move again, run and gun. This is why I prefer it over snapshot. He just shuts down the A12T, and because we're close quarters, I know that I'm going to kill this guy if I get the reload. Well, I've definitely got the reload on him. But fortunately enough for me, the Patriot finishes him off. Now there's only one tank left. It's a heavy tank. I've not looked what it is. I don't actually know what it is. I think it might have been the Churchill 7, if I remember the game correctly. Yes, it is the Churchill 7. So we spot him. He is one that, if we hit the lower plate every time, we will still possibly bounce off his lower plate with AP. So we're loading the APCR because he has 100, I think it's about 150 frontal plate armor, and his turret armor is the same. With 155 pen, it means if we hit the lower plate, we will pen it. If we fire the AP, we probably won't, so that's why I've switched to the APCR. And we're now just going to keep bobbing up and down on this ridgeline to get a shot at him. He's actually firing really quickly here, and he hits me for about 50 damage, which means he's got the same gun as the Churchill 3, which is the 2-pounder, 6-pounder? One of the two. It's only got about 70 damage, it's a very, very quick rate of fire. So I know that I can actually pop up on top of this ridgeline now, I can take 2 or 3 more hits from him. So I'm just chancing it more and more, and we're getting some great shots into him to finish him off. And we finished that game with the victory. 5 kills, 3k damage, 2.7k base XP, 3.7k assistance, that's, what, 6.7k combined. All X medal, patrol duty, high caliber. A really, really nice game for the Super Chaffee. That was a great game for it. Showed off what it can do when it's in its spotting role. Showed off what it can do with its gun capacity. Honestly, it's a really, really good tank, and you shouldn't discount it. It's just a shame that the Rover exists. That's pretty much it. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success!